Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavadpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Bhatyapta Dehaye Dakshina Muktaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambattvamanusanthadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunmanti Divyaistavaihi Vedais Sankavadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samadaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasam Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Namaste once again, all of you. So, in the last class, we saw Duryodhana naming or taking the names of some of the Maharathis on his side, the warriors on his side. Just, he did not name all of them, but few very important people, he named them for Dronacharya to note that these are the important people on our side, so that he gets some confidence. And in the next sloka, Duryodhana continues. I will read the sloka and then explain. Anye cha bahava shuraha madharte tyakta jivitaha nana shastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. So Anvaya is Bahavaha Anye Shuraha cha Nana Shastra Praharanaha Yuddha Visharadaha Sarve Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha Santi. Santi within bracket you can add. So here Duryodhana does not mention anybody by name, but he makes a general statement. Okay. Bahavaha Anye Shuraha cha. And many other warriors or heroes, Nana Shastra Praharanaha, who have many types of weapons of warfare, including missiles. Okay. And they are all what? They are Yuddha Visharada, experts, Visharada, experts in warfare. Survey, all of them, Madarte Tyakta Jivitaha, have renounced their lives and come to fight the war for my sake. Madarte, for my sake, says Duryodhana. So here, Duryodhana's Ahankara is showing up. So he wants to tell Dronacharya what kind of a respect he commands among the people. So all these warriors have kept their own lives at stake and they have all joined Duryodhana's army. Even though they are not directly involved in the war, they do not belong to either of the two families who are fighting. But he says, all of them have come to support me. Me, Duryodhana, Mother Te. For my sake, they are fighting and giving up their lives. So it is, but it's like the First or Second World War and all that. I mean, you have got one side, one powers. Like in the Second World War, they had this Axis powers and Allied powers and all that. Like that, the two groups split, and some kings joined Duryodhana's side, some kings joined the Pandava side. They are allied. They allied with each of these sides to support them. And at that time, India had many kingdoms. So for whatever political reasons, whatever reason they saw, they aligned themselves to each side. Some were because of family connections, like, Draupadi's father and brother and all, they joined the Pandavas because of family connections. Some joined Duryodhana's side because they had some enmity with the people on this side. So all those factors, were working rather. Okay. So you can see the Mahabharata war was like some sort of a mini world war. First world war, the world has witnessed rather. And they were not ordinary people, he says. Nana Shastra Praharana. They have got varieties of weapons, Nana Shastra, and Praharana, and varieties of missiles. Praharanam means missile. Shastram means weapons. Okay. So the difference between Shastram and Praharanam is, Shastram is a weapon which is held in the hand and fought. The Shastram is never released from the hand, like a sword or a mace, like that, that is never released from the hand. Whereas a Praharanam is a Astram, it is a missile, which are released like arrows and even spears and all. They are like missiles. They are released from the hand. And they are made powerful by invoking devatas, various devatas, by chanting the mantras. That was the power behind those, those missiles rather. So they were not technology-based missiles like we have today, the Agni missile and all that, right? They were all mantra-based missiles. That is why we see in Ramayana that Rama, he takes a blade of grass, invokes a mantra, Brahmaji's powers, and he just releases that blade of grass that becomes a Brahmastra. Powerful, which is capable of killing one shot thousands of people. So they are all mantra based, not technology based. There are the power of mantras was there in that. And those power they got from the devatas which were invoked. Now we have got this Agni missile. Like that, those days also they had this Agni missile. But the difference was, here it is technology based Agni missile, there it was mantra based Agni missile. They will invoke Agni Devata. In any arrow, so for example, an arrow, they will invoke Agni Devata and release the arrow. So the arrow will go and burn the entire army on the other side. But the other side will not keep quiet. They will invoke Varuna Devata, the god of rain, and then they will release that arrow, so that Varuna Devata will come and it will extinguish all this Agni Devata. So like that the fight will be going on. Similarly, Nagastra will be, Naga Devata will be invoked and Nagastra will be, thrown. The other side will be Garudastra. Garuda Devata will be invoked and to attack the Naga they will set. So those who have seen the Ramayana, Mahabharata serials and all that, in our times, old time, they would have seen all these things. So what they show there is all mantra invoked missiles. Missiles invoked by various mantras. Okay. So this is the difference between Shastram and Astram or Praharana. Okay. So Duryodhana is saying that the people in our side, the warriors, they are very well versed experts in warfare, like that. Sarve Yuddha Visharadaha, he says. Okay, all of them are experts in warfare. And here Puja Swamiji very beautifully comments on these words. Anye cha bahava shuraha madarte tyakta jivitaha. And what it means, literally translation is Anye cha bahava shuraha, and other warriors tyakte madarte tyakta jivitaha, who have given up their lives for my sake. The words used are tyakte, who have given up, right? So Puja Swamiji says these words of Duryodhana can be taken as a divine omen. What is going to come, of what is going to come. What he wanted to say was, probably what Duryodhana wanted to say was that these warriors were ready to give up their lives for my sake. But the words which came out was they have given up their lives, as if it has already happened. If they had actually given up their lives, he would have been having a dead army in his hand, with which he could not have done anything. That's why Puja Swamiji says many times in our life this happens. This is the power of Daivam. We want to say something, but the words which come out of our mouth is very, very, it's like an omen, it comes out. That's why elders in our family and all say, be very, very careful when you speak, think twice and speak slowly. Don't speak in an emotional way, because some of the words which will come out of your mouth may come to be true. That's why they actually warn us. It's a part of our upbringing. We are told all these things by elders in our families. Okay. So this is what Puja Swamiji says, that this is very, very prophetic words, words which are portending what is going to come. This is the Daivam, that is the natural forces which know what is going to happen. So that is what the interpretation Puja Swamiji lends, his own expert addition to this. Okay. So that is the very simple explanation. It doesn't read much. So next verse we will go. And in this verse, Duryodhana is now making an assessment of both the sides, the relative strength of both the sides, and he is informing Dronacharya. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tvidame tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. This is the 10th shloka. Anvaya is asmakam bhishma abhirakshitam tat balam aparyaptam. Etesham tu bhima abhirakshitam idam balam paryaptam. Within bracket you can add asti. Because in this shloka the verb is not supplied. It's a verse form, They will not use unnecessary words. So when we convert it into prose, we have to supply the verb also.
Mama, can you please repeat the shlokam? The two.
Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tvidame tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. This is a very tricky shloka, because this shloka lends itself to two opposite meanings. And interestingly, Puja Swamiji takes one interpretation and Swami Paramarthananda takes just the opposite interpretation. And both are right from their own point of view, because language is like that. Sanskrit language lends itself to two different interpretations. We will see what those two interpretations are. Not that they are important, because all these are all just a sort of explaining the context rather. So it's nothing to do with the teaching as such, but they're all, as I say, intellectual exercises rather, how the language, can be, can be used to, just opposite meanings can come out of it. Okay. So the word paryaptam used in this has got two meanings. Paryaptam means, one meaning is gained or overwhelmed. And it also has got a meaning of adequate and sufficient. Both these meanings are there. Okay. So therefore, the word aparyaptam, which is used twice, right? Aparyaptam, Bhishma, aparyaptam and paryaptam. Two times this word has been used. So the word aparyaptam in one interpretation can mean it cannot be overwhelmed. Aparyaptam. Paryaptam means can be overwhelmed. Aparyaptam means cannot be overwhelmed. Right? And paryaptam in the meaning of sufficient and adequate. In that meaning, aparyaptam can be taken to mean not sufficient or inadequate. So these two meanings can be taken. Okay. So I will first explain how Puja Swamiji is treating this sloka. Bhishma abhirakshitam, well protected by Bhishma. Asmakam, our, tat, that, balam. Balam here means army. Okay. Aparyaptam, cannot be overwhelmed. Two, whereas Bhima abhirakshitam, even though protected by Bhima, etesham, of these people in front of us, idam balam, this army, paryaptam, can be overwhelmed. This is the meaning Puja Swamiji takes. So what here Duryodhana is trying to convey is, our army being larger, well protected by Bhishma, cannot be overwhelmed. Whereas the army of these Pandavas on the opposite side in front of us, even though they are protected by the great warrior like Bhima, can be overwhelmed. So here Duryodhana is trying to point out to Drona that his army could not be overwhelmed by the Pandavas, because it is well protected by Bhishma. And this statement comes from the fact that the Kauravas army was larger than the Pandavas army. In fact, Kauravas army had 11 Akshaunis, whereas Pandavas army had only 7 Akshaunis. Akshauni means basically a division in the army. No? It is a division. Each Akshauni, Puja Swamiji gives the details, consists of 21,870 chariots. Each Akshauni, I am saying, 21,870 elephants, 65,610 horses, and 1,09,350 foot soldiers. This is the size of one Akshauni. Like that, Duryodhana's army had 11 Akshaunis and Pandava's army had got 7 Akshaunis only. So in sheer numerical strength, Duryodhana's army was much, much larger. Plus, of course, he had a lot of big warriors also on his side. So even though mighty Bhima is there in the Pandavas' army, Duryodhana felt that his army could easily overwhelm the Pandavas and he would win the war. This was his feeling there. And Puja Swamiji says that there is sometimes another meaning is given for this verse, which he says does not hold. Okay. So in that version, Duryodhana told Drona that the strength of his army was not adequate, but at least it was protected by Bhishma, whereas Pandava's army was adequate, but was protected only by Bhima, because Bhima was no comparison to Bhishma in terms of his valor and courage and fighting skills. Okay. Pujya Swamiji feels that this interpretation is not correct because for the same reason I said, Duryodhana had 11 divisions and the Pandavas had got only 7 divisions. So how can he say that, Pandava's army can overwhelm us, even though it is protected by Bhishma? So this is Pujya Swamiji's interpretation. Okay. So given the numbers involved, he concluded that there was no way that the Pandavas could defeat them. In fact, he felt that it would be a walkover. If the Pandavas see the army and all, they may just leave the field and run away. So as I said, the contention between those two interpretations is based upon the meaning of the word aparyaptam and paryaptam. Okay, so this was then Duryodhana's thinking. And we can take it that all this was meant to, invoke some or generate some enthusiasm in Dronacharya, so that Duryodhana would gain the wholehearted or full-hearted support of Dronacharya for this war. Now let us look at the interpretation of Swami Paramathananda. He takes the meaning of aparyaptam as insufficient and paryaptam as sufficient. This is the difference. Therefore, in his interpretation, Duryodhana is pointing out to Drona that our army protected by Bhishma is insufficient. On the other hand, this army of the Pandavas protected by Bhima is more than sufficient to defeat us. This is what the interpretation Swami Paramathananda takes. But there is a reason also he gives why this interpretation he takes. Right? Okay. This judgment, he says, it indicates that Duryodhana is now tremendously frightened. Swamiji says that from this we come to know a very important psychological point. If we are going to objectively see the situation in terms of numerical strength, we can easily conclude that Kaurava's army is more powerful because quantitatively, numerically, they have got larger army. Even qualitatively, they have got powerful warriors on their side, on the Kaurava's side. And Bhishma himself is invincible. And Drona is a teacher, and being a teacher, Drona would know the strength and weakness of all his students. So if he knows Arjuna's strength, he will also know Arjuna's weakness also. So he can easily play with the weakness of the opposite, all the students who are on the other side, and win the war. Okay. So despite all this, Duryodhana feels weak because he very well knows that dharma is not on his side. Dharma is lacking on his side. Dharma is lacking, bhakti is lacking. And in such a place, inner strength and confidence will also be lacking. And this we can actually see in our own lives. Where you have a feeling, even when we tell a lie to somebody, we will always have a feeling of a diffidence. Should my lie be caught, what will happen? So this weakness, whenever we act in an adharmic way, this weakness will always be there. It's a psychological thing, because nature has not made us to be adharmic. Nature has given, Ishvara has given a dharma to everything in this entire nature. and specific dharmically you act, nothing will happen. Everything will be fine. There will be harmony. But what happens because of the great, wonderful free will we have got, the human beings, we move away from dharma at times and become adharmika. But by nature, our psychological setup is dharmic. So whenever we do adharmic things, it will keep on disturbing us in our mind. Many people become immune to that also by doing more and more and more adharmic things. But we are not considering here Duryodhana's case. Let us come back to that, right? So dharma is not there on Duryodhana's side because he has been consistently violating the dharma right from the time when he wanted to take even before that also, even when Duryodhana was always jealous of the Pandavas. There are stories in Mahabharata where he tried to kill Bhima. So many stories are there. Then he tried to kill all the Pandavas together. All that we have seen. Okay. Even though he was a very rich person, I mean, he did not lack anything materially. So the message here is, even though one may be materially very, very rich, fully accomplished, if dharma is violated, he can never ever have inner confidence and strength and peace of mind. And Duryodhana was not a bhakta at all. And that is known, we can know it from an incident which happened, which is there in the Mahabharata. Both Duryodhana and Arjuna, they went to seek Krishna's help for war. Duryodhana arrived there first. Krishna was sleeping. Duryodhana arrived there first. For him, Krishna was a king. Duryodhana never saw Krishna as Ishvara or Bhagawad. He had no respect for Krishna, no reverence for Krishna. So he came there, saw Krishna sleeping, pulled a chair, sat on the head, on the head side of Krishna. After Duryodhana came, Arjuna came there. And he saw Krishna sleeping. He sat on the on the feet side of Krishna, towards his leg there. Because, any bhakta will always would like to sit at the feet of the Lord, not at the head of the Lord. That clearly shows the difference in the bhakti between Duryodhana and Arjuna. Krishna woke up and he saw Arjuna first. Then after that, when he turned around, he saw Duryodhana was also there. Now he understood why both of them have come. He understood that they have come to seek his help for the war for their respective sides. Where Krishna, all said and done, was a king, Yadava king, and he had a huge army. Very big army. I think it was called Narayana army or something. I'm not exactly remembering that. It's a huge army he had. So he knew that he cannot support each one of them, because being a fair-minded person, he did not want to take sides. So Krishna made one condition. He told both of them, I know why you have come. I can very well guess from the situation. Both of you have come to seek my help. Now, I will give you a proposition. One of you can choose me, Krishna, to support you. And if you choose me, then my entire army will go to the other side for support. They will fight on the other side. And if you choose my army, I will support the other side, but I will not pick up arms. I will not fight the war. I will be there present supporting the other side, but I will not pick up weapons. I will not fight the war. This is the condition. So on the one hand, we have a Krishna who will not fight, who will not pick up weapons. On the other hand, we have got the entire army of Krishna who are very big fighters. So he gave the choice. Now you two of us tell me whether you want me or my army. And he gave Arjuna the chance, first chance. Duryodhana protested. He said, no, 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 no. How can you do that? I was the first to come here. Arjuna came only second. Krishna said, that is fine, but I saw Arjuna first. For me, Arjuna was the first person to be recognized. I saw you only later on because you were sitting behind me, behind my back. So I will give Arjuna the first choice. Now Duryodhana was nervous. He didn't know what to do. What if Arjuna chooses the army of Krishna? And then Krishna comes to Duryodhana's side. He was thinking, what will I do with this useless Krishna, who is also not going to pick up any weapons? He will only be an extra mouth to feed in the army, in the war. So he didn't know what to do. He could not pray also because he did not have any bhakti. And when Arjuna was given the choice, Arjuna said, Krishna, I want you on my side. Even if you don't fight, doesn't matter, but you be on my side. Duryodhana was exuberant. He was very happy. He said, what a fool this Arjuna is. He is asking for Krishna, who will not fight, and he is giving up the entire army of Krishna to me. Very good. This is my lucky day. So he took that. But he did not understand one important point. And that was that Arjuna knew what it means to have Bhagavan's Ishwara's grace on one's side for winning anything in life. He knew the invisible strength of Ishwara Anugraha, whereas Duryodhana voted for the concrete material strength. As a result of that, even though he had the material wealth and support, Duryodhana did not have confidence. Whereas Pandavas, they were a picture of confidence. And Swamiji says that from this, the lesson we learn is, in life, we invariably face this problem of insecurity. And to get rid of this insecurity, we go on acquiring more and more and more of material things, amassing wealth, material wealth. But that insecurity, sense of insecurity doesn't go away at all. In fact, more the wealth, the more material things, the more insecurity grows. And if this insecurity should go, if we require the confidence and sense of security, mere acquisition of material wealth will not do that. This is what we have to learn. There is only one solution, which is Lord Krishna will himself tell in the 9th chapter. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyaham. He says that those people who are seeing themselves as non-separate from me, ananyas chintayanto mam, those who take themselves to be non-separate from me, ye janaha paryupasate, those who offer worship to me in that, with that understanding, they gain me. For such people who are always with me, I take care of whatever they want and I also protect it. Yoga and Kshema. Yoga means gaining, desiring, gaining whatever desired. And Kshema means protection. protecting that. So both are very important. Yogam also is important, Kshemam also is important. And Life Insurance Corporation, this is the, those of you know the logo of Life Insurance Corporation, Yoga Kshemam Mahamya. Anyhow, that is aside. Okay. So we must understand that the only permanent security in our life is Bhagavan, Ishvara. There is nothing else which can give us security. So running behind all this material wealth may give us some temporary feeling of security, but ultimately they will not give us security at all. And more importantly, here, like is Ananya Chintayantomam, understanding that there is no difference between me and Ishvara, Aham Brahmasmi. Understanding that will actually help us in developing vairagyam towards all this material wealth. Material wealth is not an evil. It is required, but we must not become obsessed with it. Because we do have to live in the society, we have responsibilities in the society to our family, we have to feed people. We have to, when we come across poor, destitute people, we have a responsibility to at least give them some, succor, some help. All these things are fine. To that extent, you can have. In fact, it's Grihastha's duty. Shastra says Grihastha should earn, but should not amass for 7 generations, for future, and all that kind of thing. So that is the message the Shastras give us. Okay. The Krishna will talk about all these things in detail later in the Gita. Jnani Bhakti, he will talk about Jnani Bhakti. So, in short, the best security, permanent security one can get in one's life is the security which we get out of devotion, bhakti. But if devotion is not there, you may have empires, but you will not be secure. In fact, the higher you go, the more you require security guards, isn't it? The prime ministers, presidents, they have got maximum name, fame, everything, possession, position. President has got the entire army of the nation at his command. Whatever may be their material power, all of them still require security guards, isn't it? Under a false notion that the security God will give them security. And we know what happened to one prime minister whose security guard became what he did in terms of security. So if the Ishvara Anugraha is not there, if bhakti is not there, whatever we possess will not give us security. And if bhakti is there, you will feel secure even if you do not have any possessions. And that is why we come across so many stories in our culture. Tyagaraja story, and even in Maharashtra, all these so many stories we come across. They are all very poor people, but they had huge bhakti rather. That was the security they had in their life. Okay. So here, Duryodhana, Swami Paramatmananji points out that Duryodhana appears to be suffering from a sense of insecurity when he says, Asmakam balam aparyaptam. Our army is insufficient to win over the Pandavas. This then is Duryodhana's thinking. Okay. Now we will go to the next verse. And here, in the next verse, Duryodhana is highlighting to Dronacharya and also to all the army, his own army, the importance of Bhishma's role in this entire war. Okay. And he urges all of them to provide maximum security to Bhishma, because Bhishma was the, like an annual, of the entire army of Duryodhana. If Bhishma falls, the army is gone. That was the whole army's morale will be there as long as Bhishma is alive and he is fighting. So he actually brings that idea and puts that idea in Drona's mind in the next sloka. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagamavastitah Bhishmameva bhirakshanto bhavantas sarva eva hi. So he says Anvaya is bhavantah sarve eva hi sarveshu ayaneshu cha yatha bhagam avastitah Bhishmam eva abhirakshantu. This is what he says. Sarveshu ayaneshu cha, in all divisions of the army, in all battle formations which are there. Yatha bhagam, in your respective positions, in the allocated positions. Avastitaha, stationed. Bhavantaha sarva eva hi, all of you indeed. Bhishmam eva, Bhishma alone, abhirakshantu, may closely protect. This is what he is saying. So stationed in your allocated positions, in all divisions of the army, all of you should indeed protect Bhima alone. Okay. Bhishmam eva. So whether Duryodhana suffers from insecurity or not, it's a debatable. So let us not get into that. But he feels that there is at least one person whose role is crucial in this war, and who alone has got the capability to decide the course of this war. And that is Bhishma Pitama. And everybody knew Bhishma Pitama's valor, his fighting strength and skill and all that. Okay. That's why he's called Bhishma. Bhishma means the one whom people will be afraid to approach. Bhishma. And he was the eldest of the Kuru Vamsha also, Bhishma Pitama. His mere presence itself will give a sense of security to any army. Like we have in our house, suppose there is an elderly person in the house. It gives us some sort of sense of security. Whenever we have any problem, we can approach, seek advice and all that. I'm talking about an ideal family. Somebody may say, we have got an old person who is useless. He just go out poking his nose in everything that we do. So that's a different story. But normally, our culture, our values say that elderly person is valued in any family. Okay. So similarly, Duryodhana feels that the very presence of Bhishma will give security to them. And therefore, he commands Drona and all other soldiers to protect Bhishma Acharya at any cost. And he knows that if they lose Bhishma Acharya, the war is lost, as good as lost. He knows that. Therefore, he tells Drona, Bhavantaha sarve evahi, you Drona and all others. Sarveshu ayaneshu avastitaha, remaining in your respective strategic positions. Yatha bhagam, which has been already determined and allocated to all of you. Bhishmam eva abhirakshantu, should protect Bhishma alone. The word ayanam is a technical word used in the warfare. And it stands for any strategic position in which a powerful warrior is placed. Especially, we talked about vyuhas, the different battle formations and all that. So when those battle formations are made, such points are called ayanams. So some powerful, a big warrior will be placed in charge of that particular formation, positions. So he says, whatever happens, don't leave your respective positions. All of you. Even in cricket we have, isn't it? For a particular bowler, there will be a slip, a gully, a mid-on, a mid-off, all those silly point, so many positions, strategic positions. And they are required to be there. They can't move away from those respective positions. In fact, if the change is to be made, the bowler himself will make those changes. He will say, you come to this place, you come to that place. And that positions are allotted based upon the relative strength of each of the players. The guys who are very good in taking a catch or stopping a ball with good reflexes, they are put in slip and all that kind of thing. So that is how, cricket is also like a war these days. Isn't it? A lot of politics is also there in cricket. So like that, these ayanas are all those strategic points, ayanas. Okay. And Bhishma was just not a commander-in-chief appointed according to the seniority. Although he was the oldest person in Duryodhana's ranks, he was the one who really counted in the army. Bhishma was actually invincible. Nobody could kill him. He had a boon that he would die only when he chose. And as long as he had his bow in his hand, no one could approach him, even go near Bhishma. In fact, Duryodhana's all battle formation he had organized in such a way as to protect the commander-in-chief, Bhishmacharya. And there was no way for Pandavas to penetrate his ranks and get at Bhishma. That is what he thought. So this is the sloka, and Sanjaya continues with his narration to Dhritarashtra. He says at next sloka, 12th sloka, Tasya Sanjayanan Harsham Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha Simhanadam Vinadyochaihe Shankam Dadmau Pratapavan. Now this is what Sanjaya is now updating Dhritarashtra. The Anmaya is Tasya Harsham Sanjanayan Pratapavan Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha Uchchaihi Simhanadam Vinadhya Shankam Dadmau. This is the Anvaya. So, with the previous sloka, Duryodhana's dialogues are over. The Duryodhana Uvacha, which we added before the third sloka, when he started saying all these things, right? So, from 3 to 11, Duryodhana Uvacha. The reporting of Duryodhana's conversation with Dronacharya is over. Now again, Sanjaya is continuing his narration in front of Dhritarashtra and tells him what happened after Duryodhana said to that Bhishmacharya should be protected. Probably Bhishmacharya heard this and he acknowledged that. Okay, he must have felt that Duryodhana is conducting this war in the right way. Because in that war, the din of the war, Duryodhana must have shouted, to Dronacharya, all these words. So Bhishma could have overheard him now, telling Drona, everybody should protect Bhishma, like that. Of course, in his own mind, he knew that he did not need any protection. Isn't it? Not only he could protect himself, but he could protect the entire army also, including Duryodhana. That Bhishmacharya knew. But still, he wanted to acknowledge, okay, fine, you have said that, right? So, even though he might have felt that Duryodhana's words were, not required, still he felt that he should encourage Duryodhana and reassure him. So he let out a big roar like a lion. Bhishmacharya roared like a lion. It's a huge war cry he let out, which is what is described in this verse. Okay. Let us see the word meanings. Tasya, his, harsham, happiness, sanjanayan, intending to produce, pratapavan. Pratapavan is a Matu Pratyaya. Pratapa asya asti iti pratapavan. The one who has got pratap, like Bhagavan and all these, one who is known for his splendor, one who is known for his valor. Pratapa means valor or splendor. Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha, the grandfather of the Kuru family, the oldest person, Pitamaha, that is Bhishmacharya. Uchchaihi, loudly, Simhanadham, a roar like a lion. Vinadhya, making, Shankam, conch. Dadmau, he blew. This is the word mean. So Bhishma, the grandfather of the Kuru family, known for his splendor, valor, loudly let out a roar like a lion and blew his conch in order to make Duryodhana happy. This is the meaning of these words. So Bhishmacharya was not only Kuru Vriddha Pitamaha, the eldest of the Kuru family, and the grandfather-like figure for both the Pandavas and Kauravas. He was also the commander-in-chief of Duryodhana's army. Therefore, he had the responsibility to boost the morale of the army and especially Duryodhana, if in fact Duryodhana was having some self-doubt, whether they will win or not. And there is also a possibility that, all these dialogues going on, the war is not starting at all. So he might have felt that people are wasting their time. So let me now start the war. Right? Because that's what happens, when this goes on, the soldiers may become impatient. You have to engage them. They have come to fight. After some time, all these dialogues taking place, my army, your army and all, they may lose the spirit to fight. Okay. So he might have felt that also. Okay. So he wanted to put an end to all this dialogue. So what he did, he wanted to start the war. Therefore, for both these reasons, in order to generate an enthusiasm, inner strength and confidence in Duryodhana, and also to waste no more time to commence the war, Bhishma roared like a lion and also blew his conch. Conch blowing is a sign that I'm ready now. Let us start the fight. Like in the race and all, the whistle they blow. Olympics and all. Once Bhishma blew his conch, signaling the start of the war, it was like all hell let loose, which is described in the next sloka. Sloka 13. Tata Shankhascha Bhedyascha Panavanaka Gomukah Sahasaivabhyahanyanta Sashabdastu Bhavat. The Anvaya is Tataha Shankaha cha Bheryaha cha Panava Anaka Gomukaha Sahasa Eva Abhyahanyanta Sa Shabdaha Tumulaha Abhavat. This is the Anvaya. So this sloka describes the tumultuous war sounds which followed Bhishma's blowing of the conch. Suddenly, all the conches, kettle drums, tabours, trumpets, cow horns, all the soldiers will be carrying all these things, Some people, leaders will be having their conches, the shank. Others will have different types of, even, the modern army also, not of course the front war, but they have got this, band, army band and things, just to sort of, boost the morale of the soldiers. Okay. So all these huge sound, tumultuous sound, that blasted forth by the huge army members of the Kauravas. And the sound was earth shaking. And all the various instruments are described here. And there was no music in those sounds, unlike the bands, army bands. There were just loud noises coming from a variety of sound making instruments. There were like kettle drums, varieties of other drums were there, bugles, and so on. Okay. So the effect was what? It was tremendous effect. That whole, sound reverberated in the atmosphere. It was earth shaking, frightening, and something unimaginable. That was the sound. So we'll see the word meanings. We have 5 minutes. Tataha, thereafter, Shankaha, conches, cha, and Beryaha, kettle drums, cha, and Panava Anaka Gomukaha. Panava means tabors. I don't know, it's some sort of a drum. Trumpets. Tabors means some sort of a blowing instrument. Trumpets and cow horns. All of them, make sound rather. Sahasa eva, all of a sudden, together, Abhyahanyanta were blasted forth. Saha, that Shabdaha, sound, Tumulaha abhavat, was tumultuous, intensely noisy. Imagine lakhs of people making noise simultaneously. We see that in cricket matches also here, but of course they are not the people who fight. They are the armchair cricket players. They will be sitting in the stand with all these sound instruments and all, and they will know how to play cricket better than those who are playing there. They will actually make comments, oh, this fellow, he should not have bowled like this. And that batsman, he doesn't know how to hold the bat properly. All these comments, they will be expert comments they will be giving. And they will be having all these. They are the kind of armchair warriors of our cricket matches. Okay. So that lakhs of people making the sound, 11 akshaunis, you just imagine how many people were there. Lakhs of people. It reverberated, resonated, pervaded the whole sky. It becomes a tumultuous noise, and thus the Kauravas indicated their readiness. And given this situation, what did the Pandavas do? They too, of course, followed suit, a description of which appears in the next sloka, which we will see in the next class. Okay, I'll stop here and continue. If there are any questions, we can take that. O Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. I hope all of you have marked your attendance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Dhanyawad.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you.
Happy Dashara and
Thank
happy
you, Guruji.
Navaratri.
To all of you, yes, happy Navaratri, happy Dashara.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Few people are absent today because they are all busy with the Dashara and Navaratri and all that.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All the best. Yes, some question is raised. Lekaji, yes.
Thank you, Guruji. I have a question actually about the symbolism behind some of the imagery that you described today with Bhishma Acharya. You mentioned he represents security, I think, or at least the principles of security. My question is, he seemed to be a very dharmic character in this war, fighting for the side of adharma, fighting for the side of the Kauravas. Is this the deeper symbolism related to the war between ignorance and knowledge?
Well, it is actually it is not ignorance and knowledge, because Bhishmacharya, he had all knowledge of dharma. He had no ignorance. In fact, he also knew that Krishna was on the side, right? And Krishna was a Jagat Guru. He knew what Krishna. That is why when we saw in Vishnu Sahasranamam, The entire Vishnu Sahasranamam is Bhishmacharya. He is actually giving Upatesha to Yudhishthira. So Bhishmacharya, see, he had only one problem. His problem was he had taken a vow that he will protect the throne of Hastinapur till his last drop of blood. Now, where he actually got confused was whether the throne, he did not try to differentiate whether the throne was got by Duryodhana by dharmic means or adharmic means. Literally, he stuck to his vow. Whoever is sitting there for whatever, I am not going into the background of how somebody is sitting on that throne, but I will protect that person who is there on the throne. That was the steadfasted vow that he had taken. So, in order to protect that vow, he fought on the side of the Kauravas, because at that point in time, it was Dhritarashtra who was in the throne, and he could also justify it in another manner. That is, he did not see that this throne was occupied by Duryodhana by cheating, by Dhritarashtra. Because the Pandavas actually lost that kingdom to Duryodhana and company by the game of dice. It was not that they, now one can argue that playing the game of dice was adharmic. But that was not adharmic, because for a king like Yudhishthira, when he is invited for a game of dice, he is not supposed to say no. That was his Raja Dharma. And Shakuni used all these things in order to get the kingdom from the Pandavas. So from one frame of, one framework, we can justify what Bhishma did, that he did not see this as a dharma yuddha. He did not feel that this was adharmic, because Duryodhana and company had won this, whether they won it in a battle or they won it in a board of dice. They won the kingdom, and I am here to protect the king, whoever is sitting. So that is the reason, justification Bhishma ji had for fighting the war on the Kauravas side. So he could not actually select also, because both of them were his kith and kin. Right? Bhishmacharya was grandfather-like figure to both Pandavas and Kauravas. But he chose to fight the war on the Kaurava side for this reason only. Protection of, the throne of Hastinapur. And that was a vow he had taken, rather.
So further to that, thank you, that clarifies very well. Further to that then, again, around symbolism, not the activities or the events that happened. This context that is placed around two large armies, or the two sides, 100 of Kauravas and 5 of the Pandavas per se. Does this mean, or is this reflective of the 5 senses of the brothers, representing 5 senses plus the intellect, which is the charioteer? And on the Kaurava side, hundreds and hundreds of ignorant, or when I say ignorance, it's more around advidya, lack of knowledge. Or is this reading too much into it, into something that is not there?
I have not come across, any teacher taking this, extending the symbolism to this level, rather. When we use the symbolism of the chariot, it is not the Pandavas, but the horses, which are the sense organs, which are symbolized in Kathopanishad. So it is nothing to do with Pandava, but in general, the symbolism here is dharma and adharma. Because if you look at the symbolism, Pandavas represents all that is dharma, right? Because playing the game of dice also was a dharma of the king Yudhishthira. He played the dice, right? Whereas if you look at, and they kept their word. In fact, when they lost everything, including Draupadi, and they had to go for 14 years or 13 years of this, Vanavasam, they went happily. I mean, they did not protest, or they did not say, okay, now I will You have cheated me. Like this, some children do. When I used to be young, we play in cricket and all with other boys. If we get out, we'll say, no, this is cheating. I am not out and all that. They never said that we are, we will do this. They were for dharma. And Yudhishthira is called Dharma Putra. He was born to Yamaraja. So he is a Dharma Putra. So they were upholding dharma. Whereas Kauravas, each and everything that they have done, adharma only. So what probably, if at all we have to extend the symbolism, is that as the Dwapara Yuga is coming to an end, because this war took place towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, right? And as Kali Yuga is going to come in, this symbolizes the, dharma will become just a small quantity against adharma, which will be in very large quantity, like the Pandavas and Kauravas. So that we can, from what you have asked, I am just extending that symbolism, that what is going to come, and that is what we are witnessing also. As I was telling you, I think in the last class, the dharma, how it was there, it is standing in one leg. The cow of dharma is standing on one leg in Kali Yuga, right? So that symbolism, if we want, to satisfy our intellectual curiosity, we can extend and understand it that way. But that interpretation is, I have not come across that interpretation in any of the commentaries or anywhere. So
Thank you.
Mahabharata, I have not read completely, but still, if there are important symbolisms, I would have come across in some text. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. No, I don't want to create a symbolism that it doesn't exist there. So this is very good clarification.
It is nothing wrong, because you see, everybody understands everything based upon their own background and things like that. And sometimes these symbolisms and all are very, very entertaining for us. So we can take a lot of meaning out of the symbolism for us, and it makes us feel good, that I have seen something which somebody else has not seen, or other people are not able to see. So it makes you feel good rather. So there's nothing wrong, as long as it is not something very totally, unrelated symbolism. So otherwise it's okay. We can have our own. When you start teaching, you can add the symbolism. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Any other question, please? Otherwise, can I wind up the session for today?
Yeah, just one thought.
Yes, Sunil?
Just one thought. When Arjuna requested Krishna to fight, to be on his side, Krishna gave this option to his army, or rather to both of them, that his army would fight from the other side. And he knew that because of his divinity, he knew that which side was dharmic and which side was adharmic. So was that part of his Raja Dharma that he allowed or instructed his army, his own praja, his own army, to fight from the side of adharma?
Well, you see, as a king, there are two people who have come to him seeking help. His dharma is he cannot say no to one of them. He has to say yes to both of them. So one can say that there was a dilemma which Krishna faced. But he resolved it in a very, very interesting way, very intelligent way. Now, all these are stories in Mahabharata. As I told you, this story is how much of it is a fact, how much of it is a fiction, we do not know. But it does establish that the king should be one. Whoever comes, whether he is dharmic, adharmic, is not for the king to judge. If somebody comes for help, you must give help. In fact, there is a very interesting episode which we were told when we were in the Gurukula. Pujya Swamiji was in Rishikesh. Then there was one old Brahmin type fellow. He came to Pujya Swamiji and he told him that I want to go to Varanasi, Kashi. I don't have money. Can you give me 5,000 rupees? So Pujya Swamiji immediately called somebody and told him, you give him 5,000 rupees. So after that fellow went away, somebody was there near Puja Swamiji. He said, Swamiji, what are you doing? This fellow is a fraud. He goes to each Swamiji and takes this money, and he will now go and smoke pot and things like that and all. So Puja Swamiji told him, what you may be saying may be 100% correct. But I am here as a Swami. I am not supposed to see all these things. For me, he has come for a help. And the reason he has given me, suppose he had come and told me that I want to smoke pot, give me 5,000 rupees, I would have said no, that I will not encourage that. But he gave me the reason I want to go to Kashi. There I have stopped. It's a good reason I have given the money. Now, once I have parted with the money, what he does with it is not under my control nor my concern also. I am happy that somebody who came to me, asked me for some help, I gave him that help. That is where my compassion ends rather. So like that for Krishna also, two people are coming. In fact, Duryodhana was not Krishna's enemy. Krishna being an Ishvara, he knew that good people are there, bad people are there and all that. He knew what all Duryodhana had done rather. For that reason, Krishna never had enmity with Duryodhana. And according to, if we understand it, that is the reason also that if Krishna knew that Arjuna would choose him, he did not want to fight the war. He did not want to actively engage himself in fighting. For Krishna, it would have been 1 second, take the chakra and release it. In fact, when Bhishma was not being, the people were not able to beat Bhishma, at one instance, Krishna came to that situation that he thought of taking his chakra and killing Bhishma. Then he remembered that I am not supposed to do this. So he stopped himself. So then he remembered that the Shikandi's story, to put Shikandi in front of him, all the stories, Mahabharata is there. So why I am saying is that for Krishna, he wanted to help both of them. And he made this proposal, which was a very intelligent proposal rather, right? Because Krishna's army also, without Krishna, what power it will have? If the army doesn't have its king on his side, they are just doing mercenary killing kind of a thing, serving somebody else rather. And that is why at the end of Dwapara Yuga, everything was finished rather. Entire Krishna's army was finished. Then, everything was finished. The Mahabharata war, so many lives were lost. This is how we have to understand why Krishna, even though he knew Duryodhana was adharmi, he has come to him for help. I will help him. Doesn't matter. Let him do what he wants to do. That is it. Does that satisfy? Answer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so shall we wind up then? See you next Saturday. Okay. Thank you very much, all of you.